Egghead Talk here. Today we're going to be talking about Nick Robertson and the possibility of him cracking the Toronto Maple Leafs lineup as a Black Ace. Before we get into today's video, if you do go on to enjoy it, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It is the easiest way to support this channel, and it really helps us out a lot. And now, let's get into the video. Nick Robertson has been participating in the Toronto Maple Leafs training camp for the 2020 playoffs, which already means quite a bit, as just like any other team, they're trying to make the best squad they can for the playoffs so that they can go deep in the playoffs and maybe even win the Stanley Cup. So they would only invite the players who they think have the best shot at cracking the lineup. So inviting Robertson isn't an experience thing or whatever. They think he has an actual chance of cracking the lineup. So in this video, we'll go over who Nick Robertson is and how good he was this season. Is he NHL ready? Will he be able to perform well despite the competitiveness and intensity of the playoffs? And where will he fit into the Leafs' powerhouse offensive lineup? Nick Robertson was selected in the second round of the 2019 draft, 53rd overall by Toronto. And Robertson is already looking like somewhat of a steal. Yes, a second round pick is still very good, but I think based off his stats this year in the OHL, he seems good enough to be a first round pick. Robertson scored 55 goals and 31 assists for 86 points in 46 games in the OHL as an 18-year-old turning 19. He led the OHL in goals, and this year he also outscored some high first round picks from his draft year who also play in the CHL, including the 7th overall pick Dylan Cozens. He outscored Cozens by 1 point, but he did it in 5 less games. So this guy isn't just any random prospect. He is a top Leaf prospect, and he is a top prospect in the league. So now that we know who Nick Robertson is and we understand that he was a great player this season, is he NHL ready right now? And is there room on the Maple Leafs powerhouse lineup as a left winger or as a forward in general? Like, there aren't that many slots left for him. He may not even be able to play his natural position. So let's talk about the first question, and that is Nick Robertson NHL ready right now? And also, is he playoff ready? Luckily for Robertson, the fans will not be there, so the environment will be less pressure-filled for an inexperienced 18-year-old player like him. But it will still be an intense and competitive environment, and some people might question if he would be able to perform the same in that kind of environment compared to the regular season. Rookies don't always perform in the same way in the playoffs as they do in the regular season. And Robertson has absolutely no regular season experience, so he must be pretty nervous to play. And then you have to factor in the fact that it's the playoffs and it means a lot more, so there's more pressure on him. So will Nick Robertson be able to perform well under the high intensity environment? Before we answer that question, we have to get back on track and answer the question that started that one. And that is he NHL ready? Statistically, it definitely looks like it. Right off the bat, we notice that he is clearly a good all-around scorer. So he should somewhat be able to translate his scoring into the NHL, but in a small way. As if he were to play a whole season, hypothetically, there's no way he's scoring 50 goals. But he still would be able to get a decent amount of points, let's say like 30 to 50. So I think Robertson, skill-wise, is NHL ready right now. And although he won't help in monumental amounts, he will provide a decent amount of scoring that could definitely be of use for the Leafs or any team in this situation right now. So I think he is NHL ready, but there is one big roadblock he could run into, and that is his size. Robertson is only 5'9" and 164 pounds, and I believe this was part of the reason why he dropped to the late second round. And the NHL, and especially the playoffs, are very physical, so he could struggle with physicality. And that's why I think if he does make the team, he will be NHL ready, but he won't be able to dominate in the way that he was dominating in the CHL. I think he'll be one of the Leafs' lesser forwards during the playoffs. But regardless, he will still be ready enough to play, in my opinion. Now, let's talk about whether Nick Robertson is ready to play in a playoff environment. And to that, I say yes and a little bit of no. like I mentioned earlier, he is NHL ready skill-wise, and that's probably the most important part. But size-wise, he is not. He is also an 18-year-old with no NHL experience. So he will, without a doubt, be nervous. And I think he will play. But if he doesn't play well, the Leafs will not hesitate to scratch him. But if he gets a few early goals, or points even, I think he will definitely be fine, and his confidence will probably grow, and all those nervous feelings will probably go away. I think the exhibition game will be a great way to see how Roberts is feeling and to see if he'll be able to make the final roster. Now we come to the final question of the video, and that is whether Nick Robertson will fit into the Leafs' powerhouse offensive lineup or not. Well, I think Robertson definitely has one spot where he could replace someone, and this spot is on the fourth line, and that player is Kyle Clifford. You could argue that Robertson could maybe take out Jason Spezza, and that Clifford provides a veteran presence to a young team, and to that I say Spezza is more of a veteran, and he's better than Clifford, so of the two I would take Clifford out despite his Stanley Cup experience. I think Robertson is better than Clifford, and arguably better than Spezza right now. And now I do think Toronto does value having veteran players, but I also think they would rather have their best players out there. The only way I see Clifford maybe overtaking Spezza or Robertson is if Toronto wants to have a physical player who can enforce the team. But like I mentioned, I'm pretty sure they just want to put together the best squad they can, because if their players stay healthy, they might have a decent chance of going far this year in the playoffs. I can't really see Robertson going higher than the third line because of A, his size, and B, his extreme lack of any pro experience. Yes, I did say Toronto should put together their best squad, so the only way I can see Robertson go above the third line is if he's playing like an absolute beast. Thank you so much for watching till the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing for more content coming out very frequently. Also, on the topic of content coming out, I am going to be going on a vacation, so there will be less random bonus uploads. I still will upload my usual every other day, but it won't be every day, and it will definitely not be like 3 times a day. But you never know, I might upload twice on an upload day if there's big news. But don't expect more than one video coming out every other day, starting on Saturday the 18th. I know my upload schedule is just really unpredictable, as I usually just do every other day, but sometimes I just randomly upload a spree of videos or upload on non-upload days. But starting on Saturday the 18th of July, the amount of videos coming out will decrease to just every other day, and I might upload a little bit more depending on the amount of news that comes out. Anyways, until next time, bye.